Every book is different. Unsub started with um, an idea. What would happen if a long ice cold case turned hot again after 20 years? And a legendary killer who had vanished reemerged. And I was fascinated by that concept, and I realized I had an idea for a villain, but who was going to uh, be hunting this person? And if there was going to be a break of 20, 25 years between the first killings and the new killings, I thought that an awesome way to tell the story would be to have the two generations of investigators who were just becoming obsessed with this case. And the most powerful way I could think of to put that together was to have the current investigator be the daughter of the original homicide cop.
Yeah.
So that's where Caitlin came from. Right at the end, right at the end. Titles are a mysterious and bizarre process. I think I had pages and pages of just scribbles of potential titles before I realized that we were talking about an unsub in this book from page 1 till the very end, and there were actually not any novels that I could find that were titled unsub. You know, it dominates the cover of the book. It was made for an absolutely great cover. It makes it easy for readers to connect all the stories from one book to another. You kind of know that there's always going to be an unknown subject that's the target of Caitlin's investigation and pursuit. So yeah, it worked out really well. You're absolutely right. If you don't understand, as an author, if you don't understand who the antagonist is, they will be cardboard. And there's what's the fun of knocking down a cardboard cutout? That's nothing. I mean, my cat could have done that. my 6-month-old could have rolled over and knocked down something like that. But in a thriller, which, as the name suggests, has to thrill readers, the antagonist really, in some ways, controls the whole narrative and needs to be, that's who is driving the hero, the heroine, to take action to stop them, because they need to be powerful. They need ideally to be charismatic, to have something about them that is not just completely gross and repulsive, but makes readers interested to find out who this person is. And I always tell myself that a villain in the novel, you have to remember their humanity. They need to be human beings. They don't have to be a good human being. They're going to be a very bad one. But to always focus on the idea that you're writing about a person. So yeah, understand who this person is. These are not monsters. They might do monstrous things. And I keep the concept of monsters and the monstrous in the back of my head, in the sense that all these characters have something distorted about them and the way they perceive the world, not appearance or anything like that, but their interaction with the world and with other human beings is distorted often by something that might have sprung from their childhood or trauma or whatever. That doesn't excuse it, but you want to understand how some tweak possibly caused them to twist off into a creative moral deviance, let's call it. Every book in the Unsub series is drawn from, has a kernel of fact at its origin. So Unsub, there was the prophet is a killer who is aligned with the zodiac. In Into the Black Nowhere, the Saturday Night Killer is charming, handsome, seemingly successful dude who has a lot of commonalities with Ted Bundy. So I was fascinated by how someone could put on the mask of sanity for years and seemingly be the kind of guy that a lot of parents would be happy to have their daughter bring home for Sunday dinner, at least on the surface. You know, college grad, law student. He worked for the governor of Washington. People were touting him as, you know, perhaps he had you know, he was was a good public speaker. Maybe he could go into politics. Well, that might have been good, except he had this hobby, which was murder. So that's where I came up with that. How would Caitlin, as an investigator, strip off the mask um, to expose this person for who they really are and get the evidence to arrest them. The Midnight Man is a home invasion killer. And I got the idea from that from Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, who terrorized Southern California in the 80s. And I lived in Southern California in the 80s and remember this terrible sense of dread that pervaded the area, because here was this guy who was, nobody could find him. He just seemed to slip in and slip out under the cover of darkness and just disappear like smoke. So I set the novel in Southern California. Caitlin is brought out to consult with the LAPD, she and her team, to try to find this character, the Midnight Man, who slips into homes. He kills the adults, leaves the kids alive as witnesses. He doesn't harm the children, but he paints great big eyes all over the walls. He writes, "I am the Legion of the Night." He creates this mythology about himself that's meant to terrify. And, you know, he rips families apart. He's an expert burglar. The question is, where did he learn his skills? Is he using the freeways, which is, of course, Southern California? You know, it's all about the car. But here's some guy who's taking every iconic aspect of Southern California and using it to his own advantage. To, you know, you got that on-ramp, you can be 50 miles away before anybody even knows you were there. And then the sun comes up and there's only the mess he's left behind. So Caitlin's got to figure out how much he knows, where he's getting his knowledge. Does he have an inside track to something? And what is his, is it a game that he's doing with all these, you know, the spooky sort of seemingly, you know, supernatural messages that he's leaving, or is it just meant to terrorize people? So that's a lot of the cat and mouse.